brother of John and a son of Zebedee. We were fishermen with our friends, Andrew and Simon Peter, when Jesus called us to become his disciples. My brother John and I were quick to anger in those early days. One time when traveling to Jerusalem, the people of a little village refused us food and shelter. We had walked many miles that day. Our feet were sore and we were tired. John and I were furious at the lack of courtesy. I remember feeling so angry. I asked Jesus, "Lord, let us call down fire from heaven to destroy this miserable little town." But he sternly replied, shaking his head, "No, you do not know what you ask. The Son of Man did not come to destroy, but to save." Then, seeing our shamed faces, he knowingly added, "You two brothers are as fierce and quick as thunder and lightning." So, sons of thunder we became. I have tried to quiet my thunder most of the time, but sometimes I get so angry with those who don't trust Jesus that it becomes hard to control my temper. Peter, John, and I were constant companions of Jesus. We were with him in Gethsemane that awful night before the crucifixion. I will never forget the desolation and the sadness that we felt. My burning faith caused me to be the first martyr of the 12 disciples. When King Herod Agrippa started persecuting the church, I was beheaded with a sword, fulfilling the prophecy of Jesus when he said, "This cup that I drink, you shall drink also." Even though I had to pay the extreme sacrifice for my faith being martyred for Christ, I wouldn't change a moment of my time spent with him. My experience with Christ was beyond imagination. It is even said that my courage and forgiveness during my trial won my persecutor to the Christian faith. Though at times the situation was fearful and grim, I never doubted that Jesus was my King.
I'm John, brother of James. He has spoken of me and how, in spite of our quick tempers and foolish impulsiveness, Jesus loved us dearly. Leaving our family to follow Jesus was the most important decision of our lives. I'm the youngest of the disciples, and my time with Jesus was exhilarating. I watched his many miracles with excitement and awe, and saw how his love and concerns drew hundreds and hundreds of people to him. On the night in which Jesus was betrayed, our Master was served the first communion. I sat on Jesus' right-hand side. He talked of betrayal, of being taken from us. Very confusing. He seemed to be in some private agony that none of us could comprehend. We were all confused. I shall never forget that terrible day when Jesus was crucified. The others, they all ran away. They fled. But I could not leave my Lord. He asked me to take care of his mother, and that was the least I could do for my Master. Can you imagine how we men felt when we heard from the women that Jesus was risen? Me, I outran Peter to the tomb in my haste to know that it was true. Later in my life, I was banished to the Isle of Patmos. There, I was given the visions of the last days, which I wrote down in the book of Revelation. The closing years of my life were spent at Ephesus. And I was the last of the 12 to bear earthly witness of Christ. And I lived to see the end of the first century.
I'm Philip, Nathaniel's brother. I first came to Bethany to hear John the Baptist speak, and while there I met Jesus. I found Jesus to be a very powerful, very interesting man and a very powerful speaker. I was so moved by Jesus that I brought Nathaniel to meet him also. For months, we traveled with the Master up and down Palestine. He saw some that were blind, made to see, some that could not stand, started to walk, and even a few that were dead, brought back to life. I soon realized that Jesus was the true Messiah, but still I had much to learn. When Jesus told us that God is our Heavenly Father, it was almost beyond my understanding. It was I who asked him, "Show us the Father, and we will be satisfied." Jesus replied, "Philip, after all I have said and done, do you not know that I am in him and he is in me? Anyone who has seen the Father, anyone who has seen me has seen the Father." Startled, I drew back from Jesus. Had I been blind? For months I watched Jesus work, but I did not see. I heard what he had to say, but I didn't understand. I had accepted what Jesus did and demanded more proof. My sense of failure served to strengthen my newborn conviction. After the ascension, I spent my life as a missionary for Christ. I died a martyr in Hierapolis. If I had my life to live over again, I would gladly follow Jesus and be more faithful than the first.
I am James the Lesser, son of Alphaeus and Mary. History does not tell much about my life. There is even confusion as to who I am and how I was related, or whether I was related to Jesus or not. Whether I was his brother or not is unimportant. What is important is that when he asked me to be one of his disciples, I answered the call. The time I spent with Jesus has completely changed my life. When Jesus was crucified on that cross, a part of me died with him. When I saw him in the upper room, it gave me new life and new spirit. So much so that on the day of Pentecost, I preached the good word with great joy and happiness. Later in my life, I was a leader in the church in Jerusalem. Some people even called me the Bishop of Jerusalem. My faith was a vital part of my life. By declaring my faith to all Jerusalem from the temple ramparts, I angered the scribes and the Pharisees. They threw me to the ground. The fall did not kill me, so my attackers stoned me. When my master died, he called on God to forgive his murderers. How could I do anything less? I'm glad that I remained loyal to the Master to the very end. As a Christian, It was my desire to show that Jesus came to reconcile man to man and man to God.
I am Andrew. I'm not particularly gifted. I'm just a normal man like any one of you. I was a fisherman on the Sea of Galilee when I met John the Baptist. And his challenging message moved me to follow him. Until that day, Jesus appeared. And I knew in a moment, without doubt, I had found the Messiah. I had found the Messiah. I rushed to find my brother, Simon Peter. I said, Simon, we have found the Messiah. Well, Simon, he became a believer also. And we followed the Master, leaving behind our boats and our nets, our homes, and our families to become fishers of men. And looking back, I got to recall that day when Jesus fed the 5,000. Well, that was 5,000 men. There was women and children there also. And we, if these folks remember, the disciples, we rushed around the crowd and says, you must go home. You must go to the nearby village. You must be hungry. It's getting late. Jesus said, let them be seated. It's about that time I noticed the lad that had the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. And I encouraged the lad to give them to the master. The master took them. And he gave praise. And he broke them. And he started handing them out. And they kept going. And they kept going. And they kept going. And they kept going. Till everyone there had been filled. And we went around and gathered up 7 baskets of food. How incredible. Just how incredible to feed so many with so little. But he, Christ, filled all of our lives with many such wonders. Well, my life ended at Partre. There, the Roman proconsul, so outraged with me for not serving the pagan gods, they had me scourged and they had me crucified. I died a martyr for Christ. My life was lived for his cause, but I received so much more. Oh, so much more than I gave. So much more.